It's like people that are like, now relax, 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 you know?
Right.
Teachers that are like, psh, do your meditation. Like, that does not work. That just makes you be like, I'm even more stressed. Thanks. Hey everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, overwhelmed Christians who would rather live in freedom and abundance and peace. I'm Liz Frericks, and this is my husband, Evan.
Hi there.
And we're so glad you guys are here with us on this wonderful Friday.
Yeah. And it's the big one. Friday before Christmas.
Yeah, 3 more days or whatever.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And we're ready, right?
Hopefully by the time this airs, we are ready.
We'll be ready.
So today we are talking about being complete in the middle of the holidays. As a reminder, being complete means engaging your entire self and being present in the moment and dealing with what is actually going on around you. Not what you think is going on around you or what happened 20 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good one. Because I think the pressure for me around the holidays does come from inside me. I think it's coming from outside me.
Right.
Like I think there's all these demands on my time from, different people and organizations and stuff like that. But
really, you could just say no.
I could, yeah. It sounds really difficult.
Well, I think it is hard to say no. And, that's one of the things that I love about Complete, that engaging with what actually is happening means that if I have a headache and I should stay home, I should stay home. Like it doesn't mean, I think sometimes we're so focused on what should be happening in our brains, like whatever the perfect outcome is, that we forget what's really going on. Like, are you so tired you just need a day off? Like,
right.
What's going on?
We had to do that this week. Mm-hmm. That's tricky. What the should versus the is. Do you think people, if they're caught up in their should energy, are like, well, nobody else understands how busy I am, or nobody else understands how much pressure I'm under, or how difficult this Christmas is, or Christmas in general, and I think that's again, I don't know, a distortion of some kind. Because every other commercial on the radio, some of them don't even acknowledge it, but the ones that do, that are trying to like, hey, slow down from the Christmas rush, and maybe it's Starbucks or McDonald's, or like, give yourself a treat. Like, they're acknowledging that franticity that's happening,
right? And
then they're offering their solution. So it's a common way of thinking, but for some reason, I think a lot of other people probably, it's like, no, this is special to me. Like, I'm my situation's so different.
Right. Well, I think, we get caught up in, like the should energy, and then just the past. Like it's this compound interest, the emotional compound interest of the holidays is sometimes huge. And even, if you have lost someone around the holidays, or if you've lost someone in general, and then around the holidays, you're like, oh man, I really miss this person. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into the holidays, because there is so much emphasis on like, we should have this certain kind of holiday. Like, I think we're simultaneously trying to regain the childlike wonder of Christmas that we had when we were younger, and then at the same time have this amazing, the whole family is together, and just that picture perfect being with loved ones kind of Christmas. So there's kind of two different...
And it doesn't leave a lot of room for things like sorrow. If we do miss a loved one...
Right.
You should be able to mourn that over the holiday. And
right.
I think that's a good... to celebrate the memory and whatever, or to just be sad about it. Mm-hmm. But I think, that's where that external pressure, I think, is to like, no, it's got to look like a Christmas card.
Right, yeah. As someone who is a Grinch around Christmas often, I find that it's very difficult for me to be able to have people understand that, no, the holidays are hard. Like, for me, they're very difficult. They're very stressful. I have a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder stuff that comes up around the holidays. And so it's like on top of the holiday pressure, if I could just skip the whole thing, like, I don't know, this year I'm actually enjoying what we're doing, but there have been a lot of years where I'm like, I just want to fast forward until the middle of January, you know? But yeah, I feel like, there's this, everyone is, all the Christmas music, all the decorations, all the, like, everything is screaming at you, be happy, be happy, be happy. And you're just like, well, at least for me, I'm just like, I'm not happy, and I feel like it's even worse, right? Yeah. I feel like it's even worse around the holidays to be in mourning, to be stressed. It's because there's this like, put on a show, don't drag everybody else down.
Just be happy. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so that is actually external pressure.
Right.
But if we get swept away by it, that's still our choice to be like, oh, I better try to cheer up, I guess. I better just pretend I'm not stressed out. Right.
Yeah. And one of the things that, I love so much about Complete and being in the moment, I feel like it addresses both ends of that spectrum. Like being able to just say, if you're grieving, to grieve, but also to work on connecting with what is, instead of living in the past where you had that relationship, but being able to say, I miss so-and-so, and I'm also making these connections. Whether that is like, okay, my husband died and I'm alone. We had this awesome conversation with this lady at a Christmas program.
Yeah.
Just last week, I guess it was, where she came to the Christmas program and she ended up sitting in the middle of our group.
Yeah, it was
not intentionally.
Well, we were trying to, we were meeting some friends there, but we had a row saved, and she was just like, I'm just a single, can I squeeze in here? And we had room. Right. And it ended up being really sweet.
Right, because she was like, I lost my husband. This is the first time I'm going to this by myself. And we're like, well, you can be part of our family, And so it was great just talking with her, and, we had a good connection. So there are ways to make those connections, even if you're alone this Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, she really put herself out there. I mean, I think it would be hard the first Christmas to go to an event that you always went to with your husband, to go alone for the first time.
Right.
And doing it that same year. I think that's very brave and noble of her.
Yeah. So you don't have to stay stuck. And you don't have to stay stuck in the stress, for people like me that are just like, Christmas is no fun. Yeah. It's just all this, it's baggage. It's all this like past baggage that ends up exploding around the holidays. And so being able to say, yep, that was back then, but this is now, to be aggressively in the present is just such it's so healing.
Yeah. And I think it takes not closing off our connections. I think it takes being around people. And I think that's where the real like healing and recovery work and things like that happen. Not just like I think the tendency is to go away and be alone. Because I think, so your situation is your own, and so is everybody else's. Like, you haven't lost a loved one near Christmas, but you could identify with that based on what you're saying.
Right.
I think, I think we all are feeling the pressure, and maybe we have trouble defining what it is because it comes from our own unique situation. But I think there's enough common ground there because the feelings themselves, I mean, you only have a handful to choose from, right? Angry, happy, sad, resentment, disgust, whatever. And so on those common ground places, we can still have some unity of some kind.
Right.
And I think, to acknowledge it, but to also, like you said, rigorously and vigorously try to be in the present with one another instead of letting each other get sucked back into the past. That can be a really powerful thing.
Right.
And a really amazing, I mean, the day in, day out routine of our normal lives, we may not have time to do something like that. But on a holiday, we have the whole day free.
Yes,
It can be pretty neat. It seems like it ought to be possible.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the things, too, that I wrote down, by being in the present, whether you have negative memories of Christmas or positive memories of Christmas, you're trying to regain that childhood, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like the thing about kids is that they're living in the moment. That's what makes Christmas so special. And by the more we try to drag the past into the present, like the less of it we have,
Yeah.
It's like people that are like, now relax, 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 relax,
Right.
Teachers that are like, do your meditation. Like, that does not work. It just makes you be like, I'm even more stressed. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's what we do to ourselves. Because we're like, we gotta have Christmas be this way, instead of recognizing that the childlike wonder comes from being in the moment, not from trying to regain childlike wonder. So as students of the CSCs, how do we live that out in a way that encourages other people to do it, especially around, in our family gatherings, but then also doesn't like turn people off by being
Right.
like, kind of like the Pharisees, they're so looking around, pointing out everybody's stuff. They haven't taken the log out of their own eye. And they're like, hey, I see a speck in your eye, So we don't want to do that.
Right. I think what we want to do is do the best we can to honor the people around us. And I think by doing that, we'll honor ourselves. But we also want to just do the CSCs, like a lot of practical things we've been talking about.
Right.
But I think if we show up and are vulnerable with people to the appropriate degree,
right,
are open to the wonder of the season, and are truly interested in whoever we're with, I think it can make it a really special Christmas, whatever is happening.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there is that. Just when you think about it, we kind of get jaded just because we're so used to seeing it. But every year, people put lights up on their house. There's so much beauty in just the little things about Christmas.
That is something. I mean, I feel like maybe we'd still drive around and look at Christmas lights if we didn't have children, but having them is just an extra level of like, well, look at that one, because it is amazing. It's beautiful. It's so fun. And it's just the little things like that.
Right. And that's where the magic is at. It's not in creating this exact, whatever it is. I know for me, sometimes it's hard living in the Midwest and being like, is this really Christmas? There's no snow and there's no palm trees. Because, because that is my childhood Christmas was either tons of snow, like feet of snow, or palm trees.
Right.
None of this, like,
you don't want just like a cloudy gray sky and like cold
uh-huh.
rain and stuff?
No. So
that's too bad.
So it's easy for me to think this is what Christmas is supposed to be like. But really...
And then you'll be looking for it, right? You're chasing the snow.
Right, exactly. But really, I mean, the things that I love about Christmas are things that we can experience here, without stressing ourselves out. And I think when you live the CSCs out in that way, it is winsome to people. It is so attractive. And sometimes we struggle with that because we're like, oh, I feel like we're bragging because we're just like, man, our life is amazing. We actually love what we get to do. And,
sometimes it's hard to, I mean, we're doing it on the podcast, hopefully, but we enjoy each other. We enjoy our life. And it's very hectic and stressful at the same time.
Yes.
But it's fulfilling. And that's because of the CSCs and God's grace.
Right. And we're growing. I mean, every year our finances are in a better place than they were last year. Our health is in a better place than it was last year. I mean, it's not so much about like, oh, now we've attained this awesomeness. It's more just as you apply the CSCs naturally, is that railroad track. Mm-hmm. It is that growth pattern where you become someone who is moving forward rather than just staying stuck.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, as we wrap up, we're going to be putting out a survey soon, hopefully very soon. And it's going to be a way to monitor, or a way to measure how you, the listener, are doing on the CSCs. So look out for that. It's coming up. And next week, since on Monday is Christmas, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the incarnation, Jesus coming to earth as a man. And I don't know, we love theology. Sometimes we don't hit the theology super hard on the show, but because we love the practical too. And the CSEs are so practical, but they're woven into all these things. So we'll get to explore that a little next week.
Yep. It'll be super fun. So come back. All right. We love you guys and we are praying for you. Have a wonderful weekend before Christmas.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Enjoy some Christmas lights.
Fly the CSCs. Let's not live in the frantic realm this weekend. We can thrive. We don't have to just survive. Thanks to everybody that's been sharing the show. We really appreciate it. If you have found this podcast helpful, please do continue to share it with people. Have a good weekend, you guys.
Merry Christmas.